Welcome back to our Those for yet another episode on the Mercedes Capri build, which I'm sure you guys are pretty thrilled about. Where do we get to? Well, technically not last episode, but the last thing I done was build the strut brace. Still needs paint, which might come this episode, maybe next. This thing is solid, proper, like brutal. Fine. But the actual last episode, we got it driving, and that was when we worked out that there's potentially transmission issues out of the blue, which is not ideal. Not ideal. So for now, we're ignoring that entirely because, you know, minor things like drivetrain issues, they don't matter, do they? We'll just forget about that, and we'll focus on the important things like mounting the headlight inspection covers and putting a P-clip on a hose and sorting the washer jets out, right? Just get my priorities straight. Yeah, so this episode we're basically going to be tying up a load of bits. I'm still waiting on all the fuel lines to come, but that will be this episode, so we're going to replace all the fuel lines. Finish off the last few bits in the bay, although whilst waiting for Cameron to sort of shit out, I have just finished a load of bits already off camera. I guess we could do with maybe starting to sort the interior out. I don't want to do that, but needs doing. Which I have got a gear knob on order, which I'm hoping will fit that shifter, so that'll be kind of handy. I wanted to put the Capri one back on, but problem is it's a 6-speed box, so that's going to confuse things. Reverse in a completely different place, and reverse is pull up to the left and back. So I'd rather not someone jump in it and drive it into a wall, try to manoeuvre it, so we'll put a proper knob on there, why not? Well, we're getting close. As you can see, motivation now the gearbox is giving me issues. Slightly gone down, but I'm still buzzing. I've got a bit of time today, no time at the weekend because I'm up country for a wedding. Maybe a bit of time next Tuesday. I really want to get on the road, so we're running out of time now. Not that there's any fixed deadlines, but yeah. I'm going to shut up. Let's crack on with some jobs. So what I have just done off camera a minute is I've just popped some stainless screws in the inspection covers, popped them on. Same thing with the VIN plate and the build plate. I know that should be yellow. No, I don't care. I know they should be rotated on, they're screwed on, because they're going to come off again in the future without a doubt. Now, I have just been looking at... I ordered some P-clips to pipe, wrong size, again. Great. So I've been thinking what I can do. Now, what I might actually do is I might replace this pipe for a copper one, for a few reasons. One, I don't need to fix it as much, it's much easier. Two, it's going to hold its shape, and three, it might look cool. So I think we're going to replace that for copper. That'd be nice. The audio control valve, I need to sort of relocate a bit and mount it, and ideally get this little filter on top of it, and actually check for it and see how it's working. What else? Oh, I've just built a bracket underneath the cover here, so now the front of the cover sits back on its proper, well, not I had to build a bracket, but it sits back how it's meant to. And then unfortunately I had to self-tapper it in the corners because all these covers appear to have the outer tabs broken on them. So I don't want to spend a fortune to get one that might not be broken when they all seem to be broken. So that will do for now. It means the cover's now sorted. I need to alter where I hastily put that fitting in the back, you guys probably can't see it, for the PCV. It does foul on the fuel rail. So that ideally needs relocating or altering or an angled fitting going in, or I'm not sure yet, we'll work that out. Could probably do an angle fitting and come back and around again. So I messed up there. Whoops. Oh well. Got to clip that one back in there in a minute. This one here is the vacuum hose for the brakes, which is now working. What else? No, that's pretty good, to be honest. That's that mostly tied up then. So you've got to paint the strut brace, but that will happen when we fix the other paint bits on the car, which might be this episode, I'm not sure yet. I wanted to sort of do it all properly, well no, ish. So I'll wait till I've got paint mixed up and we'll do it in the spray gun. So what needs to go on in here? Everything. It's full of sand, it's full of paint, it's full of dust. Cables are hanging everywhere. The central locking doesn't work. The centre console needs new brackets making to fit it. The ECU needs supporting, but that's not a priority. and it all just needs, yeah, so we've got to get all this overspray and whatnot. Lucky enough it is mostly on the outside, so maybe I'll scrub this with thinners in a minute, and then it's going to need the polisher going over it to try and find the remnants of the window. That'd be kind of nice. So I think I'll crack on a minute with some of these small jobs, and I'll keep you guys updated. So I've been playing around a bit here. I popped a I'm not sure if the diode has failed, it's in here or whatnot, but I popped the diode on, had a play, rescaled my VE tables, changed my injector dead time because that was wrong. Just started to set up like acceleration enrichment and whatnot, and oh, yeah, that's a beautiful idle. Airfield 14.3, I'm happy with that for now. 27 kPa on the map. So right now there, it is running almost spot on. So I've got a good sort of baseline to start from now on the tuning. And it is getting a bit better. Oh, I say it was. It was getting better, but okay, needs a bit more tuning. So about a week on again. Couldn't do any work this last weekend because I was at another wedding. So, but I needed some parcels, and we got the parcels now. So we got some air filters, new fuel filter. We've got brass joiners, P-clips, more P-clips than we need because I ordered some for the washer jet lines, too big, and then had to order more for what we're going to have now. So what else we got here? We got a new bit of hose, which I'm hoping is going to be roughly the right size for the fuel pump to a tank. Some new hose to go between like the pump and bits and bobs, and then 30 meters of nylon hose, so way too much. But the plan with that is obviously as factory these things are plumbed in nylon as in the 80s, and most cars still are. So rather than go copper, which can also corrode and is obviously expensive, rather than go rubber, which is expensive and seems to last a few years, nylon, it kind of makes sense. So we're going to try it out. I'm going to replace all the rubber fuel hoses where I can with the nylon. Replace the main hose that goes to the tank, start with some new clips. Replace the fuel filter with the MAL one. The fuel filters I use are, well, just VW 1.8 20 valve turbo ones. One, because I use the exact same ones on my Mark II Golf because they're 20 valve turbo, makes sense. Ideally I should have bought the quick connectors because I could have probably put them on this pipe and actually use the quick connectors, but oh well. And yeah, but just a really, well, what's that filter, £8, so really inexpensive fuel filter, nice big high flowing fuel filter and practical. So yeah, I'm going to start stripping out all the old fuel lines, make a right old mess with fuel, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we got nylon lines now in from here. Oh, let's turn the camera on. Hold on. Go all the way down. Down, 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 down. And then back up and around. So one to return, and then one going back to the new fuel filter up there. And then new lines going back down to the fuel pump. So, I guess next step is to put fuel in it and see if anything leaks. Before it's off the ramp at least. Took longer than expected, not because I spent ages doing fuel lines. I also had the old lines off this side, and before I put new lines in, I had to make some repairs down this side, like that dodgy repair there. Just because I didn't want to be obviously messing around with that once the fuel lines are in. So we've now got a new section there. Only temporary, really. Any repairs I'm doing on the bodywork or shell of this car is literally just going to be rough repairs for the next couple years, and then we're gonna have to do some massive work. So it needs a lot of work, but if I keep it on the road and going for another few years, it means I can enjoy the engine, have some fun, and then it needs to be basically built into a new Capri. So, all good fun. But until then, we'll keep on doing little repairs and keep it on the road. So I've successfully put about 20 litres in the tank, about 5 litres on the floor. That funnel just, yeah, that's enough on that one. So now, leaks. Let's turn the ignition on a few times. And just start keeping an eye out really for any leaks. So I'll keep doing this a minute. Oh. Until we can hear it sort of build pressure in a minute once it's cleared all the air out the lines. And then we can start actually inspecting the lines for leaks. So returns there. Currently dry, although the return's under no pressure whatsoever, so I wouldn't expect any leaks from that. Our fuel in is there. Currently bone dry. Cycle it a few more times, check the in-going, outgoing side of the pump, and check the fuel filter. That's all completely dry up there. I think there's a success. So although setting that, I guess I've leaked out a filler neck there, isn't it? Yeah. Got a little leak from the filler neck. Well, from the overflow going down. Okay, that's fine. Not a problem at all. So it seems that line replacement successful, and nylon is much better. Yeah, bone dry. Oh, beautiful. Alright, actually on to the next job. I should probably fix that at some point. Whoops. Now, I can't remember where I left off. But badly patched up there. Perfect. Ideal. I've just put in the bonnet stops at the top and the breather hoses for the remote servos. That's all done. So next up now might have to be tracking, I think. So yeah, bit of a pain in the ass one to do. What would be nice would be a set of like tables to load it down onto with wheel plates. Make life so easy. But we haven't got that, so I'm gonna load it down to the floor, put all the weight back on it, and I guess eye it up first, see how far out, adjust it close, and maybe put the actual tracking gauges on it and see if we can get it tracked up. If so, that's another job done. And then I reckon I can start putting the interior back together. We've now got a gear knob to try and fit, see if that works. So we get some interior back together. Have a look at the rear tail light and the rear number plate light, it's not working. And see about popping the bonnet back on and getting the headlights adjusted. There's reasons for this. I'm not going to go into details, but yeah, that's definitely the next step. Well, today's plan anyway, to get all that done. So, although it's already like 2:30. Oh well, we'll crack on. So to set it up, moved it over here as you meant to, and supposedly after that little initial adjustment I made, we're about, well, 18 minutes toe in, so slightly towing in, which isn't an issue, because obviously still when we add a bit more weight on the front, that's going to make a tiny bit more toe out anyway, so it's a rough guide to get on the road. That will do perfect. That's done, easy. I will just move that back over there a minute and confirm it goes back to 0 degrees, but it should be fine. So that's good. If so, another step done. Oh, what next? I guess I should probably do that. Don't want to do that, that's wiring. Don't like wiring. What could I do at the ECU? I might... No, I can't. I'll see where it's easiest to add that diode in. But that's all good. Need to adjust the throttle, but maybe we could just ignore that for a minute. Sort out the idle control valve, and then look at getting this bonnet back on. Maybe that'd be kind of cool. Or maybe no. Let's do the interior first. Let's do them horrible bits. So what has happened since I last recorded? We've done with tracking, hadn't we? I've just been and sorted the wiring for the old ID control valve and put that thingy majiggy in properly. I've actually cleaned the glass, well, gave it a scrub with thinners and then brake cleaner, and this glass is absolutely ruined. It is so scratched up, it's unreal. And delaminated, but I can now see out of it, so that's a bonus. There's a reason for that. I've tucked some of the cables up underneath here, but not all of them yet, because we need to do some investigation in a second. And what I've also done is put the centre console back in, because that's annoying me. So I've put a bit of, I had to raise it up a bit because the gearbox tunnel alterations. So I raised it up, screwed it all back in place, and put some extra sound deadening under there, because I thought it needs it. We've put the knob on for now, but I've had to remove the collar around the top of the Capri gator and cut off the boot of the Mercedes one. Now, I thought I could use the Capri one, but this collar that slides over the shaft meant that the knob didn't go down far enough and didn't clip on. So, what I probably should have done is tried to unstaple this Capri gator and see if the Mercedes one was big enough to fit, and then replaced it entirely in the Mercedes one. Oh, that'll be a ball ache in the future though, for removing the gearbox. We're probably going to have to custom make that. So I'm probably going to have to buy another Mercedes one, or just tidy up the bottoms of these somehow and call it a day. But the Mercedes knob's on now, so we can go into gear. I can lift it up to go across to reverse. Handbrake's in, clock's in. That's never right anyway, so we can entirely ignore that. So that's all good. So knocking through the small jobs again. Next one is, if I remember rightly, one of the side lights didn't work and one of the number plate lights didn't work. Let's just give it a quick check a minute. Should be on. Yes. So we've got that number plate one's out and that side light's out. Now I'm sure that side light gives me issues every single year for MOT as it is anyway, but it could also be a cable, because there's an additional cable floating in where the old fuse board wiring was, which might be that one. So I'm going to quickly pop that lens off, have a look, and this here, that will literally just be a ground issue. As simple as that, probably. So let's crack on and try and get that working in a minute as well. Then that's another job ticked off. So now I need to remember how to fit a Capri bonnet single-handedly. Lucky enough, I can't really damage the paint on the bonnet, I can't damage the paint on the wings. So as long as I don't damage the paint in the engine bay, not much can go right wrong really. This bonnet has been sat in my scrap pile, rubbish pile, since it was taken off. And it's still knackered, of course. The rust hasn't got any better. Oh well. I guess let's go for it. Bonnet fitted, so ended up being a bit of a faff. Had to make some adjustments to the bonnet release cable, and then I forgot I didn't clip on the pins that come off, and then that was an absolute pig to sort out again. But it's on, it closes, and it's mostly lined up. So now what you need to do, drive the car out there, set up headlights. So you guys can't see bugger all because the GoPro's crap, but there we go. The laser's out. What I've done is I've found the centre of the car, I've set the middle beam in the middle of the headlights. That then gets projected onto the wall over here, which I'm sure you guys can't see because GoPro's rubbish. And then I've measured off, so this centre mark here is the centre of a car and the level headlights projected across. So I've measured out the distance to where the headlights are and then dropped to 1.2%. Actually saying that, yeah, I've got to check out actually because it might be different in this car because of height. Am I being an idiot here? No, I'm not. It's 1.2% of the distance across. So I've dropped about 50mm down, marked on the wall where the beam pattern should be. The car is 7.6 metres back to the headlight. And then, I turn on the headlights. Oh, that's the indicator. Whoops. You can see, probably can see now, got perfect little beam patterns coming across, kicking up. No excess spread of light, just a perfect crisp beam pattern in line with the X's. So that is spot on headlight alignment there. So I'm not going to be blinding anyone. I'm going to get the most amount of vision from it, make the most of them LEDs. There we go, full beam. Oh, I'm definitely going to see where I'm going. So that's the job done. I'm over the moon with them. That is, well, I couldn't have expected any better, to be honest. That's sort of the same as my Range Rover, just not that high up. So if I can't see with them, then there's no chance of seeing on the road with a Capri. So I've managed to do some more testing. So far the gearbox vibration, or noise, sorry, whine, it appears to be there if the gearbox is being driven by the engine or being driven by the wheels. So it does sound like it's going to be a gearbox issue there. The idea of it being a thrust bearing would be nice, but I don't think I'm that lucky by the seams of it. If I'm cruising down the road, dip the clutch in, noise is still there. If I'm idle, dip the clutch in, just sitting still, noise goes. So the noise appears to go whenever the gearbox stops spinning. If the gearbox is spinning, noise appears to be there currently. So that's indicating the gearbox got an issue. Great. I've managed to get this on a drive. Went rather well. Lights, fantastic. Very happy with them. Ideal. But we do have a very large vibration. Now this vibration again doesn't seem to be attached to a drivetrain, it seems to be attached to the engine. Joys, or not. Now it's a bit of a hard one, because like listening back to it on the videos, the engine doesn't sound completely happy. But at the same time, the vibration I got is a fairly big vibration coming through RPM dependent. So I'm now a bit confused. I'm not sure where to go next, to be honest. So it could be a funny old misfire, but it does appear to be very consistent and a very heavy vibration. And it's not like the engine's coughing and spluttering or anything like a normal misfire. So yeah, the next step to check on that one would be to maybe let it run on overrun with the engine off and see if so spin the engine without the engine running and maybe see then if we've got the vibration still, because then that would indicate a mechanical issue as opposed to a misfire kind of issue. So that's something to try, I think, maybe later on. Short of that, next step I think is to put a DTI gauge on the flywheel and see what's going on there. So it is a dual mass flywheel as well. Whether there's some issues with the flywheel, it's an annoying one, to be honest. Really heavy vibration. So yeah, that's next to be checked out. I did just have a quick look at the plugs. They're fine, to be honest, as to be expected, really. Slightly rich, but then again, it's because it has been running rich. But overall, it's actually running pretty damn good. Oh, and I'm not sure what I mentioned a minute ago on the video. I can't remember. With the engine running, the car won't move. Now I have now just traced that back to being the servo for the rear brakes. So for some reason, as soon as the vacuum is drawn on that servo under here for the rear brakes, it locks the rear brakes on, which means something in the valve assembly is broken for that. So I'm going to see if I can get some spare parts to that one and just replace that whole part as opposed to taking it apart. If not, we'll take it apart and have a look inside. So I've just disconnected the vacuum for the rear brakes and the car now moves whilst the engine's running. So yeah, lots of little bit snaggy bits, but I think keep working through them all. I've just measured up for all these blanking plugs back here, so I'm going to go in, design them on the computer, chill out. I'm going to get all the decals ordered up for this actually before I forget, so I can get that painted up, and we'll keep doing finishing touches. So yeah, we now need to get through these engine snagging bits. I'm really hoping it's not the flywheel, because that means I've got to take the gearbox back out. But at the same time, I do just want to get to the bottom of it and then have some fun. So I have no idea where we got last time. So, headlights. Fantastic. Over the moon with them. Better than expected. In the dark. Great. So, I'll show you guys at some point. Car. Yeah. So we know it's not the release bearing in the gearbox that's the issue. The actual gearbox, well, other than that annoying whine and the metal in it, there's actually no fifth gear either. You put it in fifth gear and it jumps back out again. So yeah, even if I do get it in fifth gear, it doesn't stay in fifth gear. So that gearbox I went all the way up to Southampton for is shot. Not ideal. But okay, we can move on from that. So that's now going to come back out. Worse than that, there appears to be a huge vibration. Sort of starts at about 3,000 RPM, a bit of a weird one really, but it's really uncomfortable. Not a good vibration whatsoever. So I'm kind of hoping that's maybe the dual mass that's completely also shut the bed from the same place the gearbox come from. So that could also be completely shot. So now, exhaust going to come off again. I've had to take the center console back out. Props are going to come back off. Gearbox are going to come back out. And we're going to try and work out if this vibration is what we think it is. So yeah, not really too noticeable when it's in here, you rev it. So it's so noisy you can't really tell anyway. And but being in the car, driving and actually having the car under load and sustaining RPMs, this vibration is not good at all. So, and it is, you dip clutch, you can be cruising down the road at say 4,000, it's vibrating really bad, you're doing 60, dip clutch, vibration entirely goes. Obviously when you dip the clutch, the whole drivetrain is still spinning. The only thing it does change is the RPMs drop, which means it's going to be sort of from pressure plate backwards, or forwards to the engine. So, I'm going to strip it all apart now. I'm not going to film that yet because you guys have seen me put it in and out 50 million times. And I'll let you know when we find the issue. So here's where we're at. I've just run the car, now the flywheel, and we're exposed. Yay. So there is obviously a bit of play with DMF. The springs, I've just cut myself on a DMF. Great. The springs seem to be doing their job. There's nothing that's obviously untoward with it. There's play, obviously, where there's meant to be play. There's a bit of the float on it doesn't seem bad condition at all. So flywheel now might be off the suspect. So I just run the car while I was holding on to it. Did manage to get the vibrations. Again, they appear to sort of be intermittent. Bit of a weird one. But I could hear in the exhaust that same ticking noise I'm currently hearing whilst I'm driving. So that could now indicate valve train issues. And for those of you who remember, when we put this engine, this one first in this car, it had a horrible top end noise until I'm assuming some lifters freed up. And those of you who have seen, like, when I've done a sump inside this engine, at some point it has not been maintained whatsoever, and it is filthy inside. Now it seems to idle fine. So I've got this ticking noise. And this ticking noise happens even on, I cut the fuel on deacceleration on the tune, and the vibration is still there when deaccelerating or engine braking with no fuel. So there's no combustion and the vibration was still there. But obviously when you are deaccelerating, what you still have is compression, unless you've got a valve train issue or a cylinder issue. Now I'm way out my depth here, I'm not going to lie, I'm way out my depth. I can't just throw the parts can on it, that's no good. I've been looking at the gearboxes. Now, there's nothing also untoward with this gearbox, or the release bearing. Other than the fact the boots come off the release bearing. The bearing seems smooth. There's nothing any different to that bearing there. Put pressure on it, don't turn it. It seems absolutely fine. There's no shrapnel in the bell housing here. Turns over right. I can feel sometimes almost a slight grinding in there. I did put my beast of a drill on it and turned it over, but I couldn't get any whine. But as soon as it's in the car there, it was whining like an absolute pig. And it was whining either with input shaft turning from the engine or the wheels turning the gearbox, it whined. So it didn't matter if the wheels were moving and the clutch was disengaged, it would whine. If the wheels weren't moving and the engine was turning and the clutch was engaged, it would whine, which indicates it sort of would whine whenever the input shaft was spinning. But I couldn't get it to whine. But it does feel notchy. There was metal in it, and the fifth gear is completely shattered. There's no fifth really. So that's definitely broken. This is that gearbox I bought first time round, just to mock it up in the car because I need something. Now this one here is like out of, I think, out of 2.6, and it's not as strong. Now it does turn freer and easier, but I haven't checked if there's any oil in that yet. And I did put slightly too thick oil in that, so that could be why. So, I still haven't tracked down that whine, but it has to be gearbox related. I just couldn't track it down for some reason, don't know why. But without gearbox is knackered, so I'm going to have to try that gearbox, hoping that gearbox is fine. And now, I'm not too sure if there is a flywheel issue, and I have no more ways of actually seeming to know without just changing the flywheel, but again, they are not easy to get hold of. But it does also sound like there's a cylinder issue. So the next step now is going to be pull all the plugs, I guess, on that side, inspect them all, where they are dirty anyway, potentially clean them all if need be. Compression test, I guess, that entire side, and we'll go from there and see if we can find a valve train issue on that side now. Why does this thing screw me? I just want to have fun. There's various bits more done now. I can't remember where I got to on the last video. I think I was going to update you with the vibration issue. The flywheel appears to be absolutely fine. That gearbox is definitely shattered. My spare gearbox, the weak one, I'm just going to sling in it, I think, next episode. Had a little ticking noise with the exhaust, which is the same ticking noise I can hear whilst driving. Checked out the hydraulic lifters. They all appear to be fine. If they're not fine, I'm not sure on that one still. End up pulling all the plugs out. I've cleaned all the plugs, which is obviously not a fun task with 16 of them. Been for all that. I've checked compression down on this bank as well. Compression was perfect. But then again, those ignition and fuel related things aren't related to vibration anyway, so yeah, I'm not sure. It's going to keep ticking through it all really. But I've just changed 3 coil packs. I noticed that 3 were a little weaker. So what I've done is I disconnected one, because these are obviously twin spark. I disconnected essentially one spark plug feed to one side of the coil to each cylinder, and shared it so that was one driver, this was one driver. And when plugging in the second spark plug on a couple of cylinders, the engine note changed. So obviously I was getting a weak spark on some of them cylinders. So I've just changed a few of them. Might do nothing, I'm not sure yet, but they were all firing. So yeah, that's done. I have no idea where this episode went. It must be finished by now, so we're going to wrap up this episode, and then I'm going to start another one with putting us all back together. So you can see I've been through everything: compression tester, timing light. I rechecked timing on the engine, just made sure that was all spot on, and just tried to narrow it out, just go through everything to make sure everything's perfect. The only thing I haven't obviously properly checked is the injectors. Although they've had new filters in them and all that, new seals, we don't actually know that they're all flowing properly. This is the joys, I guess, of buying used vehicles or used engines. Also, I have got a load of injectors on that engine, which as far as we're aware were working, but I've just rebuilt these ones, and yeah, so I'll clean all the spark plugs. Needs to go for a few more drives, and then I'll see what the spark plug looks like, and we can go from there and see if it's any ignition issues or any fuel related issues. But either way, that ties up this random episode. It's now gone on for far too long. If you're enjoying this build, hopefully more for me right now, although I have obviously managed to drive it, and so buzzing. It's just this vibration issue needs to go, because it's just, yeah, it's kind of worryingly bad, which made me think it was the flywheel because it's such a big heavy item. But I'm still not sure on that, and I don't know how to really test it without having another one, and I don't have another one. I have got a new DTI gauge, so I might just run it over the flywheel in a minute whilst turning the engine by hand and see what happens. But anyway, I'm stop rambling. Thank you guys for watching. Obviously, if this is your first episode you've seen on this car, sorry, because it's been a bit of a random one. There's plenty of other episodes with loads of good content in it. Why not jump back? Check out obviously all the other vehicles on the channel. And yeah, really look, I'll see you guys next time. I've been Jordan. Cheers.